Hello, my name's Harriton Boatko. A quick introduction again. At my far right, you've got Rommel Sangalang. He's with the FMP group together with SMI. Then we also have Jason Smith, who actually who has a Filipino mother, believe it or not, but is very Australian. And now I call him the man who's the international man, considering the kind of work he does because of the help of the internet and the modern devices for communication. He now does SBTV, that's International TV for Super Brands. And of course, we have Carl McLean, who was previously with Zwielig,
Yes,
correct?
correct.
With Farmer Zwielig, director. He was with IT Services as well, and now chair also of Super Brands Manila. Gentlemen, we have 20 minutes to go. Now, we've discussed the issues of branding, the weakness of Filipinos, the strength or what we expect the tsunami to come in with the ASEAN and how everything's going to fall in place. Let's look at the global community, where things are really happening, supposed to be, because after all, the world on the other side of the ASEAN is trying to move in because for the developing country called the ASEAN countries, everyone's looking in this area because there's obviously of faster growth. We are reigning with, let's see, China came in with 7.9, we were 7.2% until we fell last quarter to 5.6. And interestingly enough, this government is blaming the Manila traffic for a loss in GDP. And Malaysia going on top ahead of us with 6.8 or 6.9. Where do you see the world going when it comes to globalization, or better yet, markets overreaching and they're going outside their basic markets? For example, America, even Europe, all over the world. You see this a lot, Jason, yeah, with your projects. Well, where do you see that going?
I think it's incredibly good, and I think it's incredibly good for the consumer because it opens up a secondary round of business for each of your local brands or companies. They go into the export industry. So what that does is allows them to open up for more jobs, and due to the increase in number of jobs, it also creates competitiveness for the salary. So this, in time, over about 25 years, creates more of a middle class that you'll see in this country.
So it strengthens the middle class with globalization.
It's going to make this a very, very strong country.
And what do you think, Rommel, when it comes to that? Imagine banking in Canada, banking in Japan, banking in Australia. When barriers are all taken down, then we can now compete properly. Who can give me the better return on my money? Right. Not because it's in the Philippines. And where can I be most secured?
Well, to his point, once the middle class has a presence, then the requirements for them, including that their money grows, not just stand still at 0.02%. Right. And their ability to find vehicles for growth, those things are going to come into play.
There is a better option than Asia.
There are options all over the world, but nobody here tends to give it to the common man. But that will have to change. To his point, they're going to be demandative because they're going to be a force to reckon with, the middle class.
Ladies and gentlemen, very quickly, let me just expound very quickly on Rommel Sangalang's promotions. He promotes straight at your face, secured using a bare trustee, an investment in Canada at 8% per annum, paid quarterly. Now, know more about this and reach out to Rommel. And if need be, reach out to me and I'll put you up to him. Carl, what do you think about the globalization? You've been exposed to a global company like Farmer Zwielig. You're forever talking to everyone around the world.
Well, we only have one global brand in the Philippines. That's San Miguel. And even that, and now there's talks again between San Miguel Philippines and San Miguel Spain, because they were originally they had the same shareholders before.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. They're separated. So, but now they're looking at doing joint marketing together. So they really will have a true global brand between Spain and Philippines, which controls San Miguel. But that's really the only global brand we have today, in my opinion. You have to create some more of these global brands. So first of all, you have to understand branding. That's going to take some time here. We're doing a good job of that, trying to teach people that. We have the opportunity. The other thing is that the China market's slowing down, and some of the manufacturing qualities in China have really not been as good as they could have been. And I've been talking to some manufacturers recently that have left China and coming here, looking at sites, because some of the old traditional businesses were here and moved to China because of price. But the quality wasn't the same. So they're now coming back here. And with the PESA zones run by Lily de Lima, who actually does a great job, in my opinion, and you take out all this red tape stuff. You have to take all that out. Foreigners want to go to one person, get all the license, all the fees done by one person within 30 days max. If you go past that, they lose interest. You can manufacture and export from here from the PESA zones. But we haven't done enough in that. There's Hitachi are very strong here. Texas Instruments is very strong here. Intel came and left, right? Remember that? Even the logistics company came and left. FedEx came and left. So that's a sad...
Acer came and left.
Acer came and left. That's because things didn't go quite right. But I still think there's a huge opportunity for us to grab that type of market, to grab some new export markets, some more high-tech markets, business process outsourcing, knowledge process outsourcing, right? Not just the straight call center stuff, but the real knowledgeable stuff where you actually create information for the American merchant banks, investment banks. We can do that here. We have bright people that can do that here. There's a huge opportunity to build those markets here correctly.
Do you agree with that, Rommel, especially with the banking system?
I do agree with that.
But how come we're offering such terrible rates? I mean, in the Philippines, I mean, really, we're willing to pay the bank 6-7% when we borrow money, and we're also likewise willing to accept 0.03 on our savings. There's a total disconnect.
Oh,
I mean, the business, I mean, what is it telling you? The business is let's get into banking. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, be careful. There's a 4% inflation rate per annum. So you're only making 2%. And that's the reality of it all. And if you look at the history in the last 6 decades, it's a 90% inflation rate, meaning you have only kept 10% in the value of your money if you kept it in the bank all these years.
Yes.
Isn't that ridiculous? No, but
ridiculous.
do you think you've been exposed to the Filipino psyche, Jason? The psyche of the Filipino. Do you think we have the discipline, especially with the Filipino businessmen that you see around? Or you hear on TV and read about?
It really depends. It's a case-by-case basis. I couldn't generalize on everybody in this nation. But it's something that each and every one of them will need to develop themselves.
A discipline.
A discipline to overcome any particular struggles that they'll have.
You're always ever so optimistic, Rommel, and the Filipino. You see that?
I do. I believe that the individuals, when their business gets bigger, when their small business becomes a medium business, they're going to look and demand for ways that the banks help them out, not this traditional, accept the fact that government's got this bond rating, accept the fact that that's what the accounts are going to give me as far as percentage. No, they're going to demand...
But the bond rating, Rommel, now, for 5-year bonds, is 1.1%.
Yes.
Just the other day, I was watching a show on another TV network, ANC, and this guy was raising his hands, hey, we're giving 1.1% or 2.1%. I mean, I'm watching like, does this guy realize he's looking like an idiot on TV? He's waving his flag, putting up his hands and saying, hurrah, hurrah, 1.1 or what, 2.1. Someone should whisper in his ear, the inflation rate is 4%, mate.
You're actually losing 2.9.
Yes, exactly. And they don't know. Because businesses, they work, you put capital into it, and you keep going around. Before you know it, the business model is turning around, and you're not necessarily identifying your profits, at least ahead of time. Now, if you don't identify your profits ahead of time, you lose them. Because what happens is it goes back into the business. Sure, it grows. And because most businesses that are family-owned, they're dictatorial, oh, okay, go take out a couple of units, buy a house, buy a car, whatever, not knowing that whatever money you're making, unless you're generating double-digit returns, you're negative or staying flat.
That's correct, yeah.
Isn't it? But it's so sad. I mean, but many still don't realize, and no, I'll keep my money in the savings account. In fact, most offices don't even have a finance officer. They have the auditor, they have their accounting, they call it the accounting department. But no one understands the meaning of finance management, and accounting. It's as if it's the same, because when you're in school, I guess they teach you the same thing.
Yeah, bookkeeping versus accounting.
Yes, exactly. But that's what it is. Financing is the ability to look forward, to understand where you're going to put it, to turn it around so you don't lose anything on your money. Because after all, it's already earned. It's already a profit. You work so hard to profit, and then you lose your profits. Sometimes I wonder if it's stupidity, ignorance, lack of education, or options. I think maybe it's all four, because the options don't exist in this country. And maybe we can look forward to ASEAN integration if this happens, but I'm not sure it's available in Singapore. Are there rates that are better in Singapore?
No,
you work with Hong Kong and Singapore.
It's not about the rates. It's about what other options do I have because the government has done X, Y, and Z. These options are not easily available to the Filipinos, even in an educational forum. where the finance person of a company can actually be told, look, these are not your only options. Many times they don't know, and that's what they go with, if they could just be told. Now, these companies do exist in Hong Kong and Singapore. They make a ton of money for people. There are risks involved. We spoke to one that said in Eastern emerging Russia and the Ukraine.
I couldn't believe it. 80%, 75% return in 1 year. I said, what? What is that? Smuggling? Are you shooting people? I mean, are you pumping drugs into people? That's why the return is 75. And then he said, no, it's in Eastern European countries.
But
what
where
do
did
you
he
do
get
that? Create
educated?
wars? I mean,
Where did he get educated on that? It was Hong Kong. It was
that's
no one in the
right.
Philippines.
Yes, it's Hong Kong.
All I'm asking is these banks open up and give the ability to have people choose their risk factors and the amount of money they want to make.
But no security.
No security.
There's
No
no
security.
I mean, I can go around and tell you, Carl, you give me 10 million bucks and I'll give you 80% return. And there's no security. It doesn't mean I have to return it to you.
Right.
Because as far as I'm concerned, I made 100% return. And you lost 100%.
I would love for banks to ask me to educate their clientele, because I do have a secure way of making 8 to 10% a year.
There
but
you
they
go.
won't allow that. They like the old vanilla, how they've been doing things for the last 100 years.
But there are companies like Templeton out of Hong Kong. They actually go around the world looking for these opportunities, and they do exist. You can actually get 20 to 30%, but with a lot of risk involved. They will never guarantee you that ever. But for instance, look at Poland. There are areas in Poland. When Russia first opened its property markets near Moscow, there were huge opportunities. Now, I wouldn't want to be that property owner today. So if you went in there fast and got out fast, that's great. Saigon was the same, or
Dangerous.
Ho Chi Minh City. When he first went in there, Po Chong, one of the founders of DHL, he went in there, made a complete fortune. He was in there fast and got out fast, and he still has some investments there. So he was lucky. He was in there at the right time. You have to be in there at the right time. But that's just gambling. That's like being.
Yeah, that's gambling.
That's like playing on the roulette table.
Yeah.
Same thing, right?
Yes.
But
So it's not an investment.
No, it's not an investment, really.
But you can't really go along with that if you're the average Filipino, or even if you're the above average Filipino. I mean, you need to know about these things. And the problem is in this country that they
Well,
don't.
Romel's willing to give that talk.
I am willing to give that.
After being blocked by the banks.
Exactly, being
Yeah.
blocked by the bank.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, we are at the last 3 minutes of the program. Now, normally as a standard operating procedure in the show format, I give about 30 seconds to a minute per person as your parting words to our viewers. Other than saying you're good looking, hi, hello, and I'm the best,
Hello,
other
Mom.
than all of that is self-serving, what message would you like to give our viewers? Let's start with Romel Sangalang, FMP SMI.
I really would like people to think that whatever circumstances they have, it doesn't bind them. You can look for ways to increase your funds. You can protect your capital. You don't have to look for the banks to do it how they do it today. So please look me up. You can email me at rommel@sugifinancial.com, or you can call Harry, and I'll definitely sit down with you and speak with you about it. But there are always options. Don't let reality sink in and fool you. There are options for the future.
Thank you, Rommel. Jason, your message to our viewers. What do you reckon they should do whatever?
I really think they should just educate themselves, should remain focused, and if they own a business, look at their business internally, see what they can do to improve it, what they can do to brand it, what are your strengths, what can you show against your competitors, and then also do that on an export basis as well. So what are the weaknesses of the brands in other countries that you can exploit and that you can take advantage of?
I like that. Brand, the word brand, because it is the only solution left based on this integration. Carl McLean.
We should look at the brands that we have, the opportunities that we have, and what else could we be doing? What other products could we be bringing in? Maybe we're trying to sell products, or we're trying to stay into markets that we're not competitive in. And we should really be hard on ourselves and say, with as an integration, what else can we do better? Look at new areas, especially in things like agriculture and markets like that. That's very important. But first, look at yourself. Really look closely at what you cannot do yourself. Then look what the others are doing, and then find that opportunity either with your own products, by branding them correctly and making them international, or looking for new opportunities that you can use to go outside of the country and export.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, there's the solution. Branding is the solution. If you want to know more about branding, call on us at superbrands.com. Just punch it into Google and just put in the word superbrand with or without an S, and forget .net, .whatever, or .ph or whatnot. Just put that on and look for the Philippine flag, and you'll learn more about us, or learn about super brands worldwide. The consistent delivery of the brand promise, so whatever you promise that you say you're going to do for whatever fee or whatever consequence, that by itself will generate integrity. Integrity means branding. You have no integrity, there's no branding. Now, how important is branding? Ladies and gentlemen, as we've discussed, there's no other option left. There's no other solution. It's called branding. It's the only way you're going to stay afloat when the integration comes. The barriers of entry are going to come down. We're going to have an invasion of brands and services. So, brand. Actually, it doesn't only stay with products and services. The discipline we discussed that the Filipino requires is all about branding. It's branding in life. It's the ability to be consistent and to be truthful. In other words, I'm already saying branding is all about the truth. There's so many ways to go around the word branding. But if you want to learn more about super branding, get in touch with us. We'll tell you a whole lot more. Maraming salamat po.
You are what you watch.